Hi.
We can start with in-person questions.
Hey, how you do? Am I going? Yes. This is for both of y'all. People starting to get healthy and rotations changed a little bit and minutes changed a little bit. How have you kind of kept yourself in the groove and in ready, and staying ready as those fluctuations kind of happen? And then you come around on a night like tonight, two more people are down, so you kind of expect things to pop back up a little bit. So I'm just curious, how have you kind of kept yourself ready in general?
I'm just doing what I've been doing, staying ready so I don't have to get ready. My routine hasn't changed, my preparation hasn't changed. So just sticking to what I was doing before and praying we get good results from it.
我觉得是一样的吧，因为不管
Same for me.
是我们就是所有伤病的球员回归之后，还是之前没有回归，都其实我们每个人都在一直做我们自己应该去做的事情。
We've all been just being doing what should have been doing.
What's the feel and vibe around the locker room right now? As you guys
Should have
hit this final stretch, and every game, every game always means a lot, but they really mean a lot now.
Yeah, I would say it's been more focused. The practices are more in-depth, detailed, tuned in, trying to get ready for playoff basketball. Obviously, people go down, so we're trying, to figure that out, but the locker room has stayed the same. We're still focused on making a playoff run and cleaning up the things we need to do to get there.
我们其实就是因为这场比赛大家都知道，就是对于我们两家来说都是非常重要的一场，
We know this is an important game for both teams today.
所以我们今天都会就是拿出100%的努力和100%的态度，就让对方知道我们是对于这场比赛胜利的渴望。
So we're gonna bring our 100% to them know that we want it, how much that we want it.
所以我们在这场比赛中也要拿出我们的态度。
So we're gonna show our attitude today.
And just one last one for me. When you're preparing for LA, pretty good defensive team, very good defensive team. What stands out to you about them on that end of the floor?
They're very active, they're long, they move, they deny, they trap, they just make it harder for their opponents. And I feel like we need to rise to that occasion and give them what they're giving us and just be as aggressive on defense. And when we do that, good things will happen.
我觉得我们双方都有不同的特点吧，然后，对方的特点就像刚刚他说的一样，就是很积极，然后很年轻，然后也很全力以赴，就是，抢断的人数也比较多。
We play differently than them, but as Queen said, we know that they're a young team that play very active on the defensive end. They have a lot of people, they like to steal the ball and all that.
所以我觉得对于一场重要比赛，就是在看就是双方在场上谁出现的错误会更少。
For an important game like this, it boils down to who can make less mistakes than the other team.
就是谁更能把握好这个机会。
And who can hold that opportunity in their hands.
所以我也相信今天这场比赛也会给大家一个非常好的一个感受。
And I believe that we're gonna look really good today and make people feel us.
Cool. Thank you.
Can you, Rashawn Haley, I'm with the broadcast.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you as well. Can you describe your experience being in Indiana? Obviously, that's a program that's building, right? A lot of very young team. You go over to Washington now, and that's a franchise that, it's like Tebow, down Eric, championship aspirations. So how different is it, stepping out of that locker room and into the locker room that you're in now?
It's definitely a different feel. I feel like going into the games, it's just different. Going from a team that's rebuilding and they're just working on more so kind of improving from last year versus a team that has championship goals. They're not worried about improving from last year. They're worried about, winning and how they're going to win it all. So I feel like it's just two different mindsets that Indiana had versus Washington has. Obviously, they're not rebuilding here, so they're worried about who they have and getting them to be better to step up in moments where it matters versus in Indiana, it was how can we improve from the game before, or how can we improve from last year? What are we going to do different that we didn't do last year? Whereas here it's how are we going to win? We need to figure out how we're going to win it all. We don't care about last year. We're worried about now. And so I think that level of attention to detail itself is completely different, because when you step in the locker room, everybody's expected to win and everyone knows that they're expected to win. And so they do what they need to do to get that result.
How has that challenged you to change that mindset?
I feel like it's forced me to grow up a little bit, and it's forced me to be more of a professional all around and just be more in tune with my body, with how I carry myself as a professional, and just having the ability to, like I said, change my mindset and go in and make a difference, and know that what they needed from me in Indiana is different than what they need from me here, and just being able to adapt to my situation and whatever I'm thrown into.
For Lee, how would you describe the way you've been able to transition here to the WNBA?
你适应 WNBA 的这个过程。
虽然对于就是之前也说过了，对于这个来 WNBA 自己属于菜鸟赛季，但是在其他比赛里面，已经积累了很多的经验了。
As I've said before, I am a rookie here in the WNBA, but I've played many games previously, and I have accumulated a lot of experience.
所以来到这边赛场上，一个是要适应这边的篮球的规则和这些就是与同伴之间的这个相互的默契。
So the first thing for me is to learn the rules and principles of this game in the WNBA, and to build chemistry with my teammates.
虽然我们之前就是一直都是在世界比赛上，然后接触过比较多的这种国外的球队。
I have met international teams previously in the international games I have played.
所以来到这边能加入到这个团队里面，能与这么多强队和这么多优秀的队友就是一同训练和比赛，对我来说提高的价值是非常大的。
So now that I'm here, I get to blend into this team and play with world level teams and athletes. It's a huge improvement for me.
所以就是每一场比赛打完之后，自己都会做一个复盘，
So after every game, I will do a review for myself.
然后也是一直从赛季初到现在，发现每十轮自己都在有一个提高，有一个变化。
And I have noticed that for every 10 rounds I've played, I have an improvement. I have a change in my style of play.
所以就是来到这儿，自己感觉还是适应比较快的。
So I think, I think for me, I adjusted well and quickly.
Lee, do you like the LeBrons? Is the LeBron
Yeah,
course play down the road for the Lakers? And
I love LeBron.
do you watch that just years watching him play? Or is that part of why the shoes are just like how they fit? Kind of.
你是因为喜欢他打球，所以穿他的鞋吗？还是合适？
都有吧。
A little bit of both.
所以本来以为今年会在那个斯坦普斯的那个场馆，
I thought I was gonna
比
play
赛
in the what used to be a Staples Center.
然后还想着我能踩一踩他踩过的地板。
And I was thinking that I would be able to step on the floor that he had set foot on.
反正总算有机会的。
There'll be many
It's
other
okay.
opportunities.
Next year.
Next time.
Lee, you play with a high level of physicality. Where did that come
打
from?
球是很有身体对抗，这是怎么来的？
这个从小的时候就是吧，因为自己在身高上和跑跳上就身体素质上没有什么，其实没有什么天赋。
I always play it like this because I don't feel like I've got a lot of. I don't think I've got a lot of like potential or advantage in how tall I am or how athletic I am.
所以就是可能也感谢我爸妈吧，给了我一个好身体。
And I have to be thankful for my parents for giving me like a body like this.
所以从小在就是练习和比赛里面，就自己特别会利用好自己的身体和自己的优势。
So when I practice and play games since I was young, I learned how to use my body to my advantage.
但是一些就是细节上和技术上，自己还是欠缺很多吧。
But in some of the details and the technicalities, I think I can do a lot better.
可能在中国的那个大的环境下面，自己的身体上还是比较有优势的。
When I was in China, my body has an advantage when I play there.
但是到这边了，发现就是全联盟每一名球员的天赋都很好，
But after I come here, it's like every single one of the players is very talented and has a great body.
所以自己只能靠我的
So I had to use my mind.
smart。
Rely on my smartness.
Thank you.
All the time we have, Coach Eric is ready. Thank you both.
Thank you.
No more roster changes outside of what we already know.
No,
All right,
thankfully.
yeah, check every day.
I know.
Want to share how you think the rotation will be adjusted a little bit?
I think everybody's gonna play. I plan on using all 9, so that's about all I want to share. So plan on using all 9. Might depend a little bit on the direction they go. They've gone big, they've gone small, LA, and that could affect a little bit what we do. But no, everybody's gonna play and we'll see how it goes.
Kurt was talking about this, when he had his time. He said, they've got a couple people that may be in or out and that they're still making decisions on.
Sounds like it, yeah.
You guys he said, it's a challenge, both teams trying to figure out who's going to be available for the other team. In situations like that, how do you kind of approach that preparation part when, there are significant pieces that you don't know are going to be available?
Our 2 teams in particular have kind of been in this boat most of the year, so I think both teams are used to doing it. I think the two teams, despite all the roster kind of upheaval during the season, have pretty defined styles of play. So, as much as we're preparing for individual people for LA, or preparing for the way they play, they've been aggressive defensively pretty much every night, trying to trap the ball. And, there's some things like we haven't seen how they've defended Elena yet this year, but I've also got a bunch of years of watching Kurt, game plan for us. And so, you're making some educated guesses and then you got to adjust a few things on the fly.
Just real quick, how's Maisha doing? I know she was like fighting the cold yesterday, the sickness yesterday.
Nobody seemed to be in terrible shape today, unless I missed something.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
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 Nobody's
Nobody was
backside of it,
separating themselves
hopefully,
at the
yes.
team. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Quick and easy for me. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, Rashawn Haylock with the broadcast. Obviously, this position could sort of been groomed for a little bit. It was in place, right? That this was going to happen. Curious, was there a point during the season, whether it was late at night or in the middle of a game, where it just kind of hit you like, okay, wow, like this is really, like I'm really doing this?
Not opening night, maybe opening night. That seems like a long time ago now. But opening night, you're tipping off, and we had New York at home, and it was a big game, and felt the weight of it a little bit. But now we're kind of in our rhythm and our routine.
Is there a timetable for Austin and Atkins?
No, no, kind of taking it day by day with both right now.
And then in terms of, LA's kind of had to deal with it too, just the shuffling lineups in and out. And how have you been able to communicate that to your players, maybe almost daily, in a sense of, okay, these are the expectations this game, as opposed to maybe what was expected of you last night?
Probably not too much in terms of difference of expectations from game to game. I think we probably talk more game plan and the coverages we're going to see and the priorities for the team we're going to play against. Our group is pretty used to having to kind of roll with some changes. We don't talk about it a lot, to be honest with you. We kind of just talk about what we need to do, and it's pretty simple. When player X is not available, player Y, hey, you're starting on so and so, and then we just kind of get on with our game plan. And we got a few players in particular that have gone back and forth between starting and coming off the bench, and I think they've all got a little bit more comfort with it now.
Coach, you had mentioned just the years of watching Kurt and like the way that he plays, and how would you define that, and just how has that evolved, or has it been somewhat of the same base and aggressive scheme?
Versions of an aggressive scheme. I think he's always been an excellent defensive game planner. I wasn't closely following his career in college, but I assume it's much the same. And, they're always heavy help on the ball. They weren't going to let you just beat them, through the paint easily. I think as he's been in the league more, he's probably gotten a little bit more aggressive on the ball, trapping and hedging and trying to disrupt. And I think maybe even from when we played him in the finals to now, I think it's probably a little bit more just all out traps. And he's got the post to do it with on this roster between NECA and Azrae Stevens and De'Arica Hamby. He's got 3 really, really mobile long posts who have good timing and good feel for it. So definitely a team suited to the way he likes to play.
Is your dad pretty hands-on? Like, what's the communication like?
Oh, he's hands-on on the GM part for sure. I mean, he's done almost every road trip. We made a trade right before the trade deadline, so it was obviously very hands-on through that and all the hardship contracts and all that. So, it's a pretty constant dialogue back and forth, at least as far as the roster is concerned. And then, I definitely get his opinions on other things, whether I ask for him or not. No, he's been great, kind of giving the coaching staff space to do their thing and kind of carve out our own identity.
Hawkins has sort of been a part of the fabric of your organization for a while. It seems like she's kind of taken a step this year. How has she changed? How is she different? How's she grown?
I mean, over the course of her career, she's gotten in fantastic shape. She knows what we expect. She knows kind of how she can play off of our guards and with Elena. She's had a couple of really good off seasons. 2 years ago it was Athletes Unlimited and being the MVP. I don't know if they call it the MVP, but winning Athletes Unlimited, and then was the MVP of the finals in Australia. And so she came into the season on a high and just carried it on and has gotten really good over the past few years at adapting her game to what we need, whether it's an energy spark off the bench or starting and taking a tough matchup. She runs the floor, she rebounds, she's willing to shoot open shots. She kind of does whatever we ask her to do.
Where's Della Don now? Just in terms of her progress? I know she's missed a bunch of time, but when you look at her out there on the floor, do you see her, or is she still kind of working with some things?
I mean, she's definitely working through some things. Has been for a while, but I think she's 50, 40, 90 again right now. She was making tough shots the other night in Vegas that looked like Elena. And so I'm sure she would bite your arm off for a run of games feeling good physically. So she kind of just get her full out confidence back. I mean, it's obviously there, but I'm sure it would be a nice luxury for her to just be able to think about playing.
And can I get your defensive keys off this, please?
Take care of the ball. Take care of the ball. Guard the paint. Rebound. It's probably the simplest version.
We'll go to Zoom now. Tyler.
Hey, Eric, I just have a quick one. Obviously, with the implications of this game and knowing that there could be a playoff bid on the line, is that something that you use at all as maybe a motivating factor or something you maybe even just discuss in passing with the team for this game?
Yeah, we mentioned, I think they just like to know, it's a good motivation, but there's a lot of things on the line. Season series on the line. We want to get our first win on this trip. And there's only a few games left, so it's not like we're in the position of taking any of them lightly. But no, it's good. It's a good thing out there for us to go get. And you have to approach those games when you have something to win, like whether it's a playoff spot or finishing off a playoff series. You got to go close it. So we got to go win in somebody else's building.
Perfect. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Jen.
Hey, Eric. So it sounds like Slim and Christy are feeling better. Are they 100%?
Better than they were the other night. So I don't know about percentages, but Slim seems to be doing a lot better. Christy she sounds better. So I think everybody's in reasonably good shape.
And, Slim versus Jordan Canada seems like it's going to be a fun one with the league leaders in steals. Do you feel like you guys are kind of prepped for Canada because you guys are so used to like what Slim does defensively every day, or are there other things that you kind of tell your team like, hey, you need to look out for that with Canada?
I don't know about prepped because Slim's on our team. Honestly, we use practice guys so much. It's not like we play head to head a ton against Slim. We do sometimes, but Jordan Canada's been around a while. We've played against her before, played against her twice, a month ago. You have to be aware of where she is. It's kind of one of those catch-22 things. Like, she's either on the ball, blowing stuff up, or if you want to try to get her off the ball, she's in passing lane. So you got to be aware. You can't be loose with the ball around her. You can't throw kind of flat passes across the top of the floor. And they got another one over there, Jazz Thomas, who's working her way back from injury. That's one of the, when she's fully go, is one of the best at that as well. So you got to be careful with it. It's why they're forcing the turnovers they are, same as we are. It's it's going to be a key thing who takes better care of the ball today.
And last thing for me, just because this is game number 37, if I've done my math right, so one more than you guys had in the regular season last year. Does the schedule feel about the same to you as last year, or does it feel, like a different rhythm, or feel substantially longer now that you've got this 40 game regular season?
I don't know if it feels massively different, because we kind of crammed those games in last year before the World Cup. I think the cadence per week is about the same. It's a few more games. We've had a lot of 3 and 5 days, but we only had one back to back, so it's not drastically different.
Thanks.
Yep.